Now let us know the meaning of the magnetic field. Now if I imagine one conductor like this, that means a wire. If I pass the current through this conductor or the wire, then all around this conductor there exists a magnetic field. What is meant by that magnetic field? It is nothing but the space around this current carrying conductor where a magnetic pole experiences a force. That means if I keep one unit north pole, remember magnetic monopole do not exist, only for theoretical purpose I assume unit north pole. Unit north pole means what? North pole of pole strength equal to 1 unit. Now if this unit north pole experiences the force, then the region around this conductor, small region around this conductor can be considered as a magnetic field. So the small region around the conductor where a unit north pole experiences the force is considered as magnetic field. Instead of a conductor, if I consider one bar magnet or any magnet, bar magnet or circular magnet, disc shaped magnet, spherical magnet, again if I keep unit north pole, if I imagine one unit north pole close to the magnet, and again if this unit north pole experiences force, once again the region around this bar magnet, small region around this bar magnet can be considered as magnetic field. So overall what we can say, the region around a current carrying conductor and the region around a bar magnet where magnetic energy is felt or experienced is known as magnetic field. Now in our today's discussion, we are going to show that a bar magnet is equivalent to a current carrying solenoid. How can we say like this? We know that if we consider a solenoid is nothing but a cylindrical coil of wire, okay, like this. Over a non-magnetic tube, if copper wire is wound tightly and if we pass the current, then we know that both inside the solenoid and outside the solenoid magnetic field is produced. Not only that, one end of the solenoid behaves like a north pole and the other end of a solenoid behaves like a south pole. That means we say that a current carrying solenoid is almost equivalent to a bar magnet. So similarly here we can show the reverse of that. That means a bar magnet is equivalent to a solenoid. Both are one and the same. Current carrying solenoid behaves like a bar magnet, or a bar magnet is equivalent to a current carrying solenoid. So this is what we are going to prove in our today's class mathematically. Of course experimentally also we can show that a current carrying solenoid behaves like a bar magnet with 2 poles at its ends. Now let us consider a solenoid. Here for theoretical purpose what I have done is I have not considered the copper turns, but we have to assume or we have to be firm that the solenoid consists of the copper wire wound in the form of helix. Since we are deriving one equation, so no need to write the copper turns here. So that is what I have done here. So this is the solenoid of length 2L. O is the midpoint of the solenoid. Then on the axis, this is the line which is nothing but axis, I choose a point P which is at a distance R from the center O of the solenoid. At this point we need the magnetic field. Magnetic field due to the solenoid when current is passed through it. Then on this solenoid I consider a small circular element of wire. So this is small portion, small circular element which consists of several number of turns of wire. What is its thickness? Its thickness is taken as, look here, this much. Its thickness is taken as dx. So dx is the thickness of the circular element, and let this circular element be at a distance x from O. So let it be at a distance x from O. Now what will be the distance of the circular element from the point P then? the distance of the circular element from the point P is given by r minus x. Remember, r is the distance between O and P. The circular element is at a distance already x from O. So, the remaining distance we have to consider. What is the remaining distance? Means from total distance r, if we subtract this much, then we get the remaining distance, that is nothing but r minus x. Okay. So, that is what we have written, 2L length of the solenoid, dx thickness of the small circular element. P is a point at a distance r, from the center O, at which what is required? At this point magnetic field is required. Then x is the distance of the circular element from O. X is the distance of the circular element from the point O, and r minus x is the distance of the circular element from the point P. So, this circular element from the point P is at what distance? R minus x. We know one expression for the magnetic field at a point on the axis of a circular coil. What is that expression? Look here. Suppose if this is nothing but a circular coil, and if I imagine this as an axis, at a point P, what will be the magnetic field? Means if I pass some current I, and if r is the radius of the coil, and if this point P from the center of the coil, if it is at a distance x, okay, then what is the magnetic field at the point P? Means the magnetic field at the point P is given by B equal to mu naught over 4 pi 2 pi n I r square divided by r square plus x square, capital R radius, r square divided by r square plus x square whole to the power of 3 by 2, whole to the power of 3 by 2. So, this is the expression for the magnetic field at the point P. Now, we make use of this equation to find the magnetic field at the point P due to the circular, small circular element. First, we find the magnetic field at the point P only due to small circular element, then we extend that magnetic field for the entire length of the solenoid. Now, let us write magnetic field at P due to circular element, Use this equation. I write dB instead of B. The reason is the circular element has got a small thickness dx. So, due to small thickness, only small number of turns, only limited number of turns of wire will be there. So, limited number of turns of wire will produce only a small amount of magnetic field. Therefore, I write dB, which is a small magnetic field due to the circular element of small thickness dx, which is equal to, according to this formula, mu naught over 4 pi. Okay. Then 2 pi I write as it is. Now, we must be careful while writing for n and as well as for r and as well as for this x. What is r here? R is the radius of the coil. See, we are making use of this concept as a supplementary or as a supporting thing to write the magnetic field at P due to the small circular element. Okay. Now, n refers to total number of turns in the entire coil, but here we are finding the magnetic field at P only due to small circular element of small thickness dx. So, how to find the number of turns contained in this small circular element? For that, what we do means, I consider like this: if n is the number of turns per unit length. Per unit length means what? 1 meter. Okay. So, n is the number of turns per unit length. In 1 meter length, if there are n number of turns, then in dx meter length, that means in dx meter thickness, how many turns will be there? So, for dx meter thickness, the number of turns will be n into dx. Okay. So, if I consider the thickness as equal to 1 meter consists of n number of turns, but here the thickness is not considered as equal to 1 meter, it is considered as equal to dx. So, in general for 1 meter, if there are n number of turns, then for dx meter length, from here to here dx meter length, the number of turns will be n into dx. So, from the entire thickness, how many number of turns are there? N into dx. Therefore, in place of n, what I write? N into dx. Okay. Then current. What's the current? I is the current. As usually, let I be the current flowing through the solenoid. Then R square. R is the radius of the coil. Here, what I do means, I consider now the radius of the solenoid as A. So, radius is as nothing but equal to A instead of R. Then in place of R square, I write A square. Whole thing divided by, now R square. R square means A square plus X square. X means what? X is the distance from the center of the coil to the point P. Here, if this is assumed as a coil for time being, then from this coil to the point P, what is the distance? R minus X. It is not only X, it is R minus X. Therefore, in place of X square, what I write? R minus X whole square. But don't forget to write whole to the power of 3 by 2. Whole to the power of 3 by 2. So, this is the substitution in which we have to do carefully to this equation. Now, here what I do means, I assume that the point P is far away. It is still far from the center O. That means, let us consider like this. Suppose if this point P is too far, instead of considering here, if I consider this point P here, then what happens to this R? R further increases. Look here. Up to here we have to consider the distance as equal to now R. Okay. So, now this distance becomes equal to R. So, if R becomes very, very large, then A is very small when compared to R. Okay. And also this X is very, very small compared to R. So, if you compare X and A with R, it is found that both X and as well as A are found to be very, very small when compared to R. So, if P is far away from O, that means from the midpoint of the solenoid, then R is very much greater than X and the same R is very much greater than A. If that is the case, then what I can do means, I can neglect or ignore A square in this equation. A square can be neglected only in the denominator, not in the numerator, because here A square is associated with too many multiple terms. So, don't neglect A square in the numerator, neglect it only in the denominator, because here it's only one term is there. What is its coefficient? 1 is there, very, very small, coefficient is very, very small. Here the coefficient of A square is nothing but from 2 to I, 2 pi n dx I, all these forms the coefficient. So, here A square is large in the numerator, here it becomes very, very small. So, therefore, then hence what I can write? Hence A square can be neglected. Okay. Not only that, also what happens now here? R minus X can be written as approximately equal to now R, because X is very, very small. Let us neglect X also. Now, what happens to this equation now? This equation now becomes dB equal to mu naught over 4 pi. Okay. Then 2 pi n into dx I A square written as it is in the numerator, whereas here remove it, that means ignore it. So, if I ignore A square, then what is left? R minus X whole square is left. But what is R minus X? R minus X is nothing but equal to only R. So, in place of R minus X, what I do means, I write this as only equal to r. So now it becomes r square. R square whole to the power of 3 by 2 is there. Whole to the power of 3 by 2. Now I can cancel 2 and 2. Then if I cancel 2 and 2, then what do we get now? This becomes now equal to mu naught over 4 pi, then 2 pi n. I rewrite this in one particular order, or else we can write as it is 2 pi n to dx I into a square. For dx, let us write the bracket. Then in the denominator, what is left? R cube. See, this is the magnetic field at the point P only due to the circular element of very, very small thickness dx. But we need to find the magnetic field at the point P, which is taken too far with respect to the entire length of the solenoid. What is the entire length of the solenoid? 2L. Here this is the field only for this length, that means only for this thickness. But for the entire length or entire thickness of the solenoid is 2L. From this entire solenoid, what will be the field at the point P? So that we have to determine. If this is the magnetic field at the point P due to the small circular element of the solenoid, then total field at P due to the entire solenoid is given by total magnetic field at P due to entire solenoid is given by B equal to integral of dB. That means if I integrate this equation between the limits minus L and plus L. Why should I consider minus L and plus L? See, we know the total length is 2L. So from one end to this, the length is L. Again, from this end to this midpoint O, the length is L. L plus L, 2L. So if that is the case, then I would have written here plus L and plus L, but I have written minus L. Why means? Because to the left of O, this is taken as negative. To the right of O, this length is taken as positive. Okay. So if I take minus L and L, then only it becomes equivalent to the length 2L. So this we will come to know at the end of this integration. Now let us substitute for this. This is equal to minus L and L. What is dB now? dB is mu naught over 4 pi, then 2 pi n into dx I into a square divided by r cube. Now I remove the constant terms out of the integration sign, so that what do we get means now mu naught over 4 pi, pull it out of the integration sign, then 2 pi n r cube, 2 pi n I a square divided by r cube. All this term I remove out of the integral sign. Inside the integral sign I retain only dx. That means integral from minus L to L dx. Now if I integrate dx, then what do I get? I get this as equal to now 2 pi n I a square divided by r cube, then integral of dx is x. What are the limits now? The limits are minus L and plus L. So now if I apply the limits, then what do I get? Let us write here. So this becomes now equal to mu naught over 4 pi 2 pi n I a square divided by r cube. Now I apply first the upper limit in place of L, then I apply lower limit. Upper limit minus lower limit, that is L minus of minus L. Upper limit according to integration rule, minus should be there. Lower limit is minus L. Then this becomes equal to now mu naught over 4 pi 2 pi n I a square divided by r cube. Now L minus into minus plus, L plus L, it becomes 2L. Now we got 2L, complete length of the solenoid. That is why here we consider the limits as between minus L and plus L. If I consider both the limits as positive, then what happens after integrating? After integrating, if both the limits are positive, L and plus L, then what happens? If this is also plus, minus L and plus L gets cancelled, it becomes 0. 0 multiplied by anything is 0. That means no field exists at the point P due to the solenoid even after passing the current. It becomes like that, so which has no meaning at all. So that is why here minus L and L should be taken, not plus L as both the limits. Now let us rearrange the terms, and what I do means I divide this 4, 2 ones are 2 twos are. So this becomes now mu naught over 2 pi, then n into 2L, I group this as one term, n into 2L, okay, then pi into a square, pi into a square, then current is also there, let us write the current, divided by R cube. So what I done is this and this I grouped together, I written I as it is, then pi and I grouped together. Here what is pi into a square? A means radius of the solenoid, that means pi r square. Pi r square is nothing but area of cross section of the solenoid. What is the area of cross section of the solenoid? It is A. So but pi into a square is equal to A, which is nothing but area of cross section of the solenoid. Then what happens to this equation now? Now this equation becomes now B. What is there here? Don't forget, B is there. So now it becomes now B equal to now mu naught over 2 pi, then I n into 2L, n into 2L, okay. For pi a square, I write this as A. Divided by what is there? R cube is there. Or else what I do means, I write this same like this. Instead of writing I here, I write I here. Now look here. Again we have to make one proper substitution. What is that proper substitution? The proper substitution is magnetic moment. Because how to define magnetic moment? So magnetic moment of a circular loop of wire or a coil of wire is nothing but defined as product of area of cross section of the loop or the coil and current flowing through the coil. That means area of cross section and as well as current. Now if I make the substitution of magnetic moment here, then we get the required equation. But here, look here, current into area is there, area into current. So I can write like this, magnetic moment M is equal to area is A and current is I. But remember, this is the magnetic moment only for one loop of wire, that means only for one turn of wire. But in the small circular ring of thickness dx, only one round of wire or one turn of wire is not present. Several number of turns of wire are present in this circular ring. So first find out the number of turns that is present within this thickness. Because this holds good only for one turn. For several number of turns, we have to multiply this by that number of turns. Then how to find this? Look here, as I said earlier, for 1 meter length, number of turns is n. Okay. Then for dx meter, the number of turns is n into dx. But I want the total number of turns present in the entire solenoid, not only the number of turns present in this. So because this is the magnetic field due to the entire solenoid. So for the length 2L, that means for 2L meter, So for 1 meter if it is n, for dx meter if it is n into dx, then for 2l meter it is nothing but n into 2l. Okay. So this is how now we can substitute that for n into 2l. What I can substitute now? I can substitute that as the total number of turns contained in the entire solenoid. So this becomes n into 2l. So without this it becomes magnetic moment of only one turn of wire. Okay. Now with this it becomes the magnetic moment due to entire solenoid consisting of how many number of turns totally? N into 2l. Right from here one end to this end, the number of turns totally present is n into 2l. So this is the value of magnetic moment. If I substitute that in this equation now, what do I get now? This equation now becomes B equal to mu naught over 4 pi, I retain mu naught over 2 pi, I retain this as it is. For n into 2l into ai, what I can substitute? For n into 2l into ai. So here this is the basic definition of magnetic moment in which I have used. But here what I have to use? I have to use here the number of turns present in the solenoid also. That means number of turns multiplied by area multiplied by current. That is what we have done. Total number of turns in the solenoid multiplied by area and multiplied by current. So for this entire thing, if I substitute that as equal to m, then m by what is left in the denominator? R cube. See, this is the expression for the magnetic field at a point P due to the entire solenoid. Now the question is, just based on this equation, how can you say that a current carrying solenoid is equivalent to a bar magnet, or a bar magnet is equivalent to a current carrying solenoid? So how can we arrive at the conclusion based on only this equation? See, we know that for a short bar magnet, this is the bar magnet, this is the axis, these are the two poles, north pole and south pole, and the distance between the two poles is nothing but magnetic length represented by 2l. Okay. So this is the center of the magnet. Suppose if I choose a point P on the axis, this point P, let it be at a distance x from the center of the magnet. Then what is the magnetic field at the point P due to short bar magnet? Short bar magnet. I assume this is a short bar magnet. A short bar magnet is one whose distance, that is x, is very large when compared to L, not to L. L is nothing but the distance from the center to one of the pole, and this portion forms another L. So L plus L totally 2L. If x is very large compared to L, then we call this entire magnet as a short bar magnet. For a short bar magnet, expression for magnetic field at the point P is nothing but B equal to mu naught over 2 pi m divided by what is the distance? X cube. You compare this equation with this. B equal to mu naught over 2 pi, magnetic moment divided by x cube, magnetic moment divided by r cube. So since this equation is identical to the equation of magnetic field at a point on the axis of a short bar magnet, so we can say that a current carrying solenoid is equivalent to a bar magnet. So for all practical purpose, we consider that a bar magnet is equivalent to a solenoid carrying current, or vice versa, a solenoid carrying current is equivalent to bar magnet. Now let us derive one more expression for period of oscillation of a magnetic needle kept in an uniform magnetic field. Suppose if I consider one uniform magnetic field like this. In this uniform magnetic field, if I keep one magnetic needle, and if I assume this as north pole and this end as south pole, we know that whenever a magnet or a magnetic needle is kept in a magnetic field, the north pole of that magnet or magnetic needle always aligns in the direction of magnetic field. So if this is the direction of magnetic field and if this is the north pole of a magnet or a magnetic needle, then when this magnet is kept in this field, the north pole always turns directed in the direction of magnetic field. That means it aligns along the direction of magnetic field. This we know already. Now, suppose when the needle is kept like this, then if it is all along the direction of magnetic field, if I want to make this needle to oscillate, then what I have to do? I have to disturb its equilibrium position. What is equilibrium position? So, aligning along the direction of magnetic field is nothing but its equilibrium position. Okay. How to disturb this? It can be rotated either in anti-clockwise or it can be rotated in clockwise. So, from its equilibrium position, if I turn like this, that means I am applying one torque on this magnet or magnetic needle. So, if it is rotated like this in anti-clockwise direction, it means that a torque is acting, and that torque is nothing but deflecting torque. Okay, deflecting torque. Then after rotating this like this, if I release the needle, then what happens? It begins to oscillate like this. So initially from equilibrium position, I rotate like this by applying a deflecting torque. Then if I release the needle, then it begins to rotate now in clockwise direction. That means opposite to the initial direction. When it is rotating in the opposite direction, it means that one more torque is said to be acting on the magnetic needle. What is that torque? That torque is nothing but restoring torque. Rotating like this, deflecting torque. Coming back like this is restoring torque. As a result of this, the needle now begins to oscillate. When the needle begins to oscillate like this, then what is the time taken for the completion of one oscillation? From where you count one oscillation? Right from this position, if the needle, look here, goes back like this, and again if it comes to this position, then one oscillation is said to be completed. So you can start from this position. From the equilibrium position, rotate it like this by applying the torque. Then, now if I release this, it turns back like this due to restoring torque, and again it comes back like this. So from ear to ear half oscillation, again from ear to ear another half oscillation. So one oscillation is said to be completed. For one oscillation, what's the total time it takes? For that we have to derive the expression. Okay. Now let us consider that B is the uniform magnetic needle, a uniform magnetic field. Magnetic field in which a needle, magnetic needle is kept, in which a magnetic needle is placed or kept. Remember, this magnetic needle is capable of oscillating about an axis. Where will be the axis? I consider an axis like this. Suppose if this is the axis, okay. Now this magnetic needle is able to oscillate like this all around this axis, and this axis is perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field. So B is the uniform magnetic field in which a magnetic needle is placed. Then what is the deflecting torque? Deflecting torque acting on the needle is given by the formula tau equal to m into b into sin theta. Remember, I have taken this equation directly. We can show that whenever a magnet or a magnetic needle is kept in a uniform magnetic field, then the deflecting torque acting on the needle is given by this equation. Restoring torque is also equal to same thing, but here what I do means I write like this minus sign. So here the negative sign indicates that the restoring torque is opposite to the deflecting torque. Remember, the magnitude of the deflecting torque and the restoring torque are one and the same. So restoring torque is represented, direction of restoring torque is represented by means of negative sign, and this negative sign clearly indicates that restoring torque is opposite to the deflecting torque. Let us write now one magnetic needle. So this is nothing but the magnetic needle, and I consider this as north pole and this as south pole of the needle. At equilibrium position, how will be the alignment of the needle? Let us write one simple diagram for this. So at equilibrium position, the needle aligns like this. Okay, this is nothing but north pole and this end represents south pole. So this is nothing but the direction of magnetic field. So you can notice here, this is at equilibrium position of the needle. Okay, so here suppose if the deflecting torque tau d, torque is represented by tau, d stands for deflecting. If the deflecting torque is in anti-clockwise direction, then restoring torque tau r will be in clockwise direction. So clearly shows that deflecting and restoring torques are in the opposite direction. Now let us continue with this. Suppose if theta is the angle between what? Between the direction of the magnetic field and the magnetic moment. What is M? B is already known. Let us write M. M means it is nothing but magnetic moment of the needle. Magnetic moment of the needle. Magnetic moment is a vector quantity. Therefore, what is the direction of this magnetic moment? The direction of the magnetic moment is always from south pole to north pole. So remember the direction. So let us represent this by means of one dotted line just for our understanding purpose. Okay. So this will be the direction of magnetic moment M. So which is always from south pole to north pole. Then what is theta here? Theta is the angle between the direction of magnetic field and the direction of magnetic moment. So if M is the magnetic moment, then this angle is nothing but theta. So we must be very clear about the terms used in the equations. Okay. So theta is the angle between the direction of magnetic moment M and B. Remember, both are vector quantities. So the magnetic field B and the magnetic moment M are vector quantities. Suppose if this angle theta is very small, that means the needle oscillates with small amplitude. Small amplitude means from the direction of magnetic field, it do not oscillates too much like this, very small oscillation like this. If it get displaced from its equilibrium position through a small angle, then we say that its amplitude of oscillation is small. If amplitude of oscillation is small, theta is also small. So if theta is small and if theta is measured in radians, the unit used to measure this angle is radian, then I can write like this: sin theta as approximately equal to theta. Then what happens to this equation now? Tau becomes equal to minus M into B into theta. Now here we know one equation. Torque is also given by I into alpha. What is I here? I is equal to moment of inertia. Moment of inertia of magnetic needle. About its axis. So how will be the axis? So this will be the axis. So all around the axis, the needle oscillates like this. The axis is perpendicular to field. I is the moment of inertia. Then alpha is nothing but d square theta by dt square is considered as angular acceleration. Angular acceleration of what? Angular acceleration of magnetic needle. Now let us know a bit about these two terms. Now, so this is the equation of the torque acting on the magnetic needle, and it can be written as mb theta because sin theta is approximately equal to theta, and for tau I can substitute I into alpha. Then again for alpha I can substitute d square theta by dt square. Now we need to know about these two terms a little more. Now what is meant by moment of inertia? Here in this case, moment of inertia means the opposing property of a body. Here which is the body here? Magnetic needle. Opposing property, opposing what? Opposing the torque. Opposing the torque, deflecting torque should be opposed. So that opposing property of the magnetic needle itself is known as here moment of inertia, because due to torque from the equilibrium position, if the needle rotates like this, then the restoring torque acting on the magnetic needle always tries to make the needle to align along the direction of magnetic field. See, that is the main function of the restoring torque. If we apply deflecting torque in anticlockwise direction, so the deflecting torque is opposed by virtue of what? By virtue of its property. So by virtue of the property of the needle itself, the deflecting torque is opposed. So that opposing property of the magnetic needle, opposing what? Opposing the deflecting torque itself is known as moment of inertia. Okay. Then what about alpha? Angular acceleration. So we are very familiar with this one, linear acceleration. Suppose if a body is moving from one point to another point, if it starts from A with an initial velocity u, and if it goes to another point B, at the point B if its velocity is v, final velocity is v, then what is the change in velocity? Change in velocity is v by u divided by t. If t is the time taken by the body to move from A to B or to change its velocity from u to v, then this rate of change of velocity is nothing but acceleration. This is linear acceleration, remember. Similarly, what is here? Angular acceleration. Suppose if a body is undergoing either a circular motion or a rotational motion. So whenever body undergoes circular motion and rotational motion, then only we can speak about the angular velocity and angular acceleration. Now when the body is at the point A, if it has an angular velocity omega 1, then now if the body goes to another point, say for example point B, so overall the body or the particle is undergoing circular motion. When it moves from A to B, at the point B, if omega 2 is the angular velocity, then what is the change in angular velocity? Omega 2 minus omega 1. For velocity to change from omega 1 to omega 2, if t is the time taken, then rate of change of angular velocity is nothing but angular acceleration. This is angular acceleration, this is linear acceleration. The same angular acceleration in the form of differential equation, it can be shown as equal to d square theta by dt square, where theta is nothing but the angular displacement when the body moves from one point to another point. So that is what I have written. Now if I substitute all this to this equation and this to this equation, let us see now what happens. First, let us call this as equation 1. What happens to this tau now? Therefore now tau becomes equal to I into, for alpha what I can substitute? D square theta by dt square. Okay. So I can substitute this for alpha is equal to d square theta by dt square, or let us substitute this in the next step, or directly I substitute this tau value in this equation. Then what do I get now? Tau becomes now I into alpha I substitute here equal to minus m into b into theta. Okay. Now, what is alpha now? Let us substitute for alpha. First, I find out alpha. Alpha is equal to minus m into b into theta divided by I. Then for alpha, what I can substitute? For alpha, I can substitute this as equal to, now using this equation, it can be substituted as equal to, now d square theta by dt square. D square theta by dt square is equal to minus m into b into theta divided by I. Okay. Now, here this can also be written in another form. D square theta by dt square, I write this as equal to minus omega square into theta. That means, what is the substitution I made here? The substitution in which I made to omega square is nothing but where omega square is equal to minus omega square equal to mb theta by I, m into b into theta divided by I. This is the substitution in which I made. See, this equation now is of the form angular simple harmonic motion. Okay. For linear simple harmonic motion, we know one equation in which we studied this in the class 11. Okay. What is the equation for that? Y equal to a sin omega t plus phi. See, this is only for knowing the difference between the linear simple harmonic equation and angular simple harmonic equation. So, this is the equation of the displacement, linear displacement for a body undergoing linear simple harmonic motion. Linear simple harmonic equation, displacement equation, linear displacement. See, this is theta means it is nothing but angular displacement. So, therefore, this equation represents simple harmonic motion of the needle which is undergoing angular motion. Okay. So, that's the difference. Displacement equation for linear simple harmonic motion. Then this is the equation of once again simple harmonic motion for a body undergoing angular motion. So, this is nothing but angular motion, angular rotation. Just we want to know about the meaning of this equation, that's all. But what is important for us here is nothing but the substitution in which we made here to omega square. If omega square equal to this, okay, so I have to remove this theta because for omega square, what I have written? MBI, this is completely equal to omega square, theta I have written as it is minus as it is. Now we come to this equation. What is omega now? Omega equal to square root of m into b into divided by I. But we know the value of omega, angular frequency, omega is angular frequency. So, it can also be considered as angular velocity, but here let us consider this as angular frequency more conveniently. But omega equal to 2 pi by t. What is t? Time taken for the completion of one oscillation. One oscillation means, look here, from here it goes to this position and again it comes back to this position. From here, if it moves like this and again if it comes back like this, then one oscillation is said to be over. From here to here and from here back to this position, whatever time it takes, that is nothing but time period. So, if I substitute that in this equation, then what do I get here? So, for omega, 2 pi by t is equal to root of mb divided by I. We need to find the expression for the period. So, what I do is I just cross multiply this. If I cross multiply this, then what do I get here? Let us see now. So, by cross multiplying, we get the equation like this. Look here. So, t goes here, I comes to the numerator, or just reverse this. You reverse this so that this also gets reversed. Either cross multiply or reverse this. T equal to 2 pi into root of I divided by m into b. Okay. Now here we know that I is the moment of inertia of the magnetic needle, opposing property of the torque. Then B is the magnetic field. What about m? What about m here? M is nothing but here. M is nothing but here mass. So which mass? Mass of the magnetic needle. So then this is the expression for the time period of magnetic needle oscillating in an uniform magnetic field. Now if I square this, then what do I get? I get T square equal to 4 pi square. 2 pi whole square means 4 pi square, square root of the square root. That means if I square this entire thing, then I am going to square this separately and this also separately. So square of the square root means it becomes now I divided by mb, because square and square root both gets cancelled. Then what is b now? B equal to, so 4 pi square I, I retain that as it is. Okay, I cross multiply here, I bring b to the numerator of the left hand side and I send the t square to the denominator of the right hand side. So here m is there and t comes here, m into t square. So this is nothing but the expression for the magnetic field in which the magnetic needle is undergoing oscillation. What type of oscillation? What type of motion it is performing? Angular simple harmonic motion it is performing. For that angular simple harmonic motion, expression for the time period is this, and the magnetic field in which the needle is oscillating is given by 4 pi square I by mt square. You know that kinetic energy of a body is the energy possessed by a body because of its motion. Any body or a particle in motion always possesses kinetic energy. Suppose if I consider a body or a particle, then when do we say that body or a particle is having potential energy? Whenever the shape of the body changes or if its size changes, then that body is said to have some potential energy. Similarly, if the position of the body is changed, then also the body is said to have potential energy. So potential energy in a body arises because of its change in position, because of its change in size and shape. So here we shall derive one expression for the potential energy of a magnetic needle when kept in an uniform magnetic field. Suppose if I consider once again an uniform magnetic field like this, okay, then now I imagine one magnetic needle. So this is the magnetic needle and this is nothing but uniform magnetic field. So this is nothing but north pole I consider and this as south pole. At equilibrium position, the needle always aligns in the direction of magnetic field. Suppose if I assume this end as north pole, then at equilibrium position, it will be always along the direction of magnetic field. Which pole? North pole. But now what I have done means, I have disturbed this magnetic field from its equilibrium position. That means I rotate like this by applying one torque. Already we have understood about it. So if I rotate like this, it means that some torque is said to be acting. What is the torque? Deflecting torque. Deflecting torque, tau d. Okay. Now here, now if I release the needle, then the needle swings back. That means it deflects in the opposite direction because of restoring torque. So if deflecting torque acts like this, then the restoring torque will act like this. In which direction? In anti-clockwise direction. Okay. Now when the restoring torque is acting like this, in order to make the needle to deflect against this restoring torque, that means opposite to opposite to clockwise direction, if I want to make the needle to rotate, then some work should be done on the magnetic needle. The needle is rotating like this means it is because of restoring torque. But I want to make the needle to rotate like this in the opposite direction, opposite to restoring torque. So, to make the needle to rotate in opposite direction to restoring torque, some work should be done. So, whatever work we do, that work will be stored in the magnetic needle as potential energy. What is that potential energy? Let us derive the expression for it. Now, this is the needle, and I consider now the torque acting, magnitude of the torque I consider. I do not consider direction, only I consider magnitude of the torque acting on the needle. So, it is given by tau equal to m into b into sin theta. Okay. So, only magnitude. If I write minus sign, then it means that I am considering the direction also. So, the magnitude of deflecting torque and restoring torque are one and the same. Only thing is the directions are opposite. Work done to rotate the magnetic needle. Work done, small work I consider. Small work done to rotate the magnetic needle against or opposite to restoring torque is given by dW equal to, what is the expression for the work done? General expression, work done is given by force into displacement. We know this is a basic concept of work in terms of force and displacement. Here force means what I consider torque, because torque is also one of the form of force. So, because of the torque only the needle begins to oscillate, deflecting torque, restoring torque. Okay. So, torque, in place of force I have taken torque, then displacement, I consider the displacement as d theta. What is d theta? Small angle between the direction of magnetic field and the direction of magnetic moment. What is the direction of magnetic moment? The direction of magnetic moment, as I said earlier, it is from south pole to north pole. So, this is the direction of magnetic moment. Between the direction of magnetic moment and between the direction of magnetic field, the angle I consider is very, very small, d theta. That means the needle is made to rotate only through small angle d theta. If restoring torque acts like this, opposite to that, the needle is rotated through small angle d theta. For small angle, work done is also small. Okay. Now, in general, suppose if the needle is to be rotated from one of the initial position theta 1 to some other position, final position theta 2, what does it mean? Let us write one diagram. This is the magnetic field. I consider now the initial position of the needle as, look here. So, this I consider as initial position. So, initially now the magnetic moment and the magnetic field both are making right angles. So, this is the direction of, if I consider this as south pole, this as north pole. Now, the direction of magnetic moment is always from south pole to north pole like this. Okay. So, this is the direction of magnetic moment. Now, magnetic moment and the magnetic field B, initially let us say they are making an angle of theta 1. In this case, it is equal to 90 degree. From this position, I want to rotate the needle to some other position like this, to another position of angle theta 2. Let us write one more diagram. this is B, magnetic field. Now, I consider one more position. So, this is nothing but south pole and this is nothing but north pole, and this is the direction of the magnetic moment M. Now, the magnetic moment M and the magnetic field both are making an angle theta 2. That means from this position I have to rotate the needle to some other position so that the initial angle is theta 1 made by direction of M with B, whereas after rotating the final angle made by M with the direction of B is theta 2. Okay. So, let us write that if the needle is rotated from where to where? From the initial position theta 1. Here position I consider that in the form of angle. Initial position theta 1 to some other position means final position theta 2. Then what's the work done? Then total work done is given by, so total work done is given by W is equal to integral of small work. Okay. So, here if the angle of rotation is, let us say, only 5 degree, for 5 degree rotation, if I assume this as 5 degree rotation, what's the work done? dW is the work done. Suppose from theta 1 to theta 2, if I rotate the angle, if I rotate the needle through an angle, so theta 2 minus theta 1 as equal to, let us say, around 20 degree if I rotate. How much? 20 degree. From ear to ear. That means from this position to this. If the angle to be rotated is 20 degree, then for this large angle, what is the total work done? Means add the small works. Look here, it is like this. Work done to rotate through 5 degree, dW. Work done to rotate 5 more degree, dW. Work done to rotate 5 more degree, totally 15 degrees over. Again, work done to rotate 5 more degree. So, 5 degree work done, 5 degree work done, 5 degree work done, 5 degree work done. So, for 5 degree, what is the total amount of work done? If I add all the work done, that gives the total work done, which is represented by W. So, from where to where? From where, which angle to which angle? Theta 1 to theta 2. Theta 1 to theta 2. So, for 5 degree, if the work done is dW, you split this 20 degree into 4 parts. 5 degree, 5 degree, 5 degree plus 5 degree. Okay. For this 5 degree, if dW is the work done, again dW, dW, dW. Instead of adding all dW plus dW plus dW, okay, dW plus dW plus dW, what I do is once for all, I sum up in the form of integration. Integration is nothing but adding or summing up from this angle to this. Now, if I substitute for dW and if I simplify, then we get the equation of work done. So, already we have 3 equations, one for torque acting on the magnetic needle, and this is the work done to rotate the magnetic needle through a small angle d theta, and this is the total work done in rotating the magnetic needle from initial position theta 1 to theta 2. That means from an angle theta 1 to angle theta 2. If I substitute for this, then what do I get? Now, this equation becomes now W is equal to theta 1, theta 2. For dW, I substitute tau into d theta. Again for tau, I substitute theta 1, theta 2. For tau, I substitute this as m into b into sin theta. M is the magnetic moment, b is the magnetic field, and theta is the angle made between m and b. Now, if I simplify this, that means if I integrate this, first I remove the constant terms outside m and b. Inside the integral sign, I retain only sin theta. Now, if I integrate this sin theta, then what do we get? If we integrate this sin theta, then we get this as equal to m into b. Integral of sin theta is nothing but minus cos theta. So this is nothing but the formula. Integral of sin theta, I have used the formula here. But limits are there, retain the limits theta 1 and theta 2. Okay, I take minus sign outside, minus m into b. Now I substitute the upper limit and as well as lower limit. That means in place of theta, I substitute now upper limit. What is upper limit? Theta 2. Now according to integration rule, subtract, that's minus. Once you substitute theta 2 and again you substitute theta 1. Now if I substitute theta 1, then it becomes cos theta 1. Okay. So this is nothing but the total work done in rotating the magnetic needle from where to where? Look here, from this position. So this is south, this is north. What is this angle? Theta 1. From this position to another position. What is that position? Theta 2. Okay. So this is south, this is north. Now this angle is theta 2. Angle should be measured between the direction of magnetic field and the direction of magnetic moment. So the direction of magnetic moment is always from south to north. Okay. So the needle is rotated from this to this. For this rotation, the total work done is this. So whatever work we do in rotating the needle against to restoring torque, that will be stored in the magnetic needle as magnetic potential energy. So I write that W, work done W is nothing but equal to magnetic potential energy. What is that magnetic potential energy, which is represented by U or UM, U for energy and M for magnetic. That means I can replace W by now UM. So therefore this equation becomes now UM is equal to minus MB cos theta 2 minus cos theta 1. So in rotating the magnetic needle from one position to another position, this should be the amount of work done. This should be the amount of work done against to restoring torque. Restoring torque is like this, opposite to that we do the work. Then suppose if I consider now theta 1, say for example if I consider now here theta 1 as equal to 90 degree and theta 2 in general as equal to theta. So if theta 1 is equal to 90 degree and theta 2 equal to theta, whatever may be this angle, but here initial position is this one, this is first position, this is second position angle theta 2, in general I take that as theta, and if I substitute that in this equation, what happens to this equation now? UM equal to minus MB into cos theta 2 means theta minus theta 1 means 90 degree, cos 90 degree, and we know that cos 90 is nothing but equal to 0. Now finally this equation becomes UM equal to minus M into B into cos theta, and this can also be written vectorially, that means in form of vector. So in vector form it can be written as UM equal to minus, look here, magnetic moment is also vector, field is also vector. So and cos theta is there, trigonometric function cos is there. Therefore I can express this equation in terms of dot product of two vectors. Because of trigonometric function cos, it should be expressed in dot product, okay, or scalar product of two vector. So therefore it becomes minus M dot B. So dot product of two vectors.